Am I the a-hole for jumping out of a bathroom window to avoid my mom's attempt at forcing a reunion between me and my ex-fiancé? Some backstory. I had been dating my ex-fiancée Sarah for 4 years. We had been planning to get married in November 2020, but I found out at the start of this month that she cheated on me. She begged me to give her another chance, but I broke it off. The problem was that being cheated on is, in my mind, completely emasculating and humiliating. So, I never told anyone that was the reason we broke up. For obvious reasons, Sarah also didn't tell people we broke up because she cheated. So, people have blamed me for the breakup, including my mom. They just see that I dumped her out of the blue. I've gone very strict no contact with Sarah after I discovered she was cheating on me. Sarah has been talking with my mom and has convinced her that if we could talk one more time, we would be able to reconcile. My mom has been applying hardcore pressure on me to talk with Sarah, but I've explained that there's no chance we will ever get back together. So tonight, I go over to my mom's place because she's hosting family for Christmas Eve. I'm there for a bit talking with my aunts and uncles and cousins when the doorbell rings and I can see it's Sarah. I ask WTF is going on and my mom says she invited Sarah so we can work this out in the spirit of the holidays. I'm pissed now because the only way to explain my side of the story is to tell everyone I was cheated on. Complete humiliation in front of my whole family. So as my mom goes to the front door, I go into the bathroom. My mom starts knocking on the door saying that I need to come out and talk to my ex like an adult. I say F it, kick out the window screen and get in my car and go home. My mom called a short while ago saying she's cutting ties with me over my behavior. She's really fixated on me jumping out of a window and that Sarah will always be like a child to her. My sister called me after to ream me out for ruining Christmas. I broke down and told her that Sarah cheated on me, which is why I dumped her and didn't want to see her under any circumstances. She called me a big a-hole who was lying to cover for myself. Am I really in the wrong? Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to leave after she tried to kick me out of my own house? My 26 female sister, who I'll call Emily, moved in with her husband, 29 male, who I'll call Roger 2 years back. Emily and I were never very close, but we were family, nonetheless. Recently, they decided to get their house renovated, and because it's been quite disastrous at their place, they asked if they could move in with me last week. I was a little shocked because we haven't spoken in a while, but I said it would be fine with me. Emily wanted to have a talk. She asked if her and Roger could have the place to themselves on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. I ask where she thinks I can go. Her response: I don't know, get a motel. She continued to tell me how I can afford a couple days in a motel and it won't kill me. She told me it's nothing against me, it's just that they have their own traditions and like to spend the holiday together. They chose to get their house renovated during this time, knowing it would interfere with their Christmas traditions. So, I asked them to leave. I can't put my life on hold and move out because they want to spend the holiday with each other. They won't be homeless. My parents took them in, but they called me absolutely infuriated because I refused to let them stay and wouldn't let them enjoy the holiday after all the trouble they went through with the renovations. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Thank you for the awards and support. I keep seeing the "how could you be in a hole" comment. I understand it, but my entire family did turn against me. That sort of thing messes with your head. Thank you nonetheless for all of your help. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sell the place I bought with stripper money? For several years I was a stripper. I have no shame about what I did and only quit when I got a better job offer. In the time I worked as a stripper, I intentionally lived as cheaply as possible, little studio flat, living off ramen, wearing old clothes, because my coworkers all told me that they were able to buy their own places on their income so long as they saved like crazy. Before I retired, I managed to outright buy myself a 3-bedroom flat. I rented out the other rooms for a while, but I got sick of having roommates, so now I have them up online for shorter stays, but not to rent. I met this guy about 18 months ago, and we've been together since. He knows about my employment history, and he said that he has no issue with it, though he did ask me to tell his family the white lie I occasionally use on my CV and stuff, which is that I was a waitress, which I kind of was TBF. A month ago, we found out that I'm 2 months pregnant. He says this is great news and we should move in together. I assumed he'd be moving into my place because he rents his far smaller 1-bedroom flat while I own mine and I have room for a baby's room while he doesn't. Also, I really don't want to leave my flat. It's my flat, I love it, I could see myself living here for the rest of my life and I don't want to lose the security of owning a flat and have to go back to paying rent or a mortgage each month. However, he then said that he didn't want to move into my place and said I should sell it and we buy a place together. I said that I like my place, it means a lot to me that I was able to buy it and it represents years of working my butt off scrimping and saving. He then said that he understands all of that, but we should be living together by the time the baby comes and he didn't want to live in my flat. I asked him why not, it's a great flat, it's central to everything, it's spacious, it's got room for all his stuff, there's a daycare in the building, owned by another tenant, and a school 5-minute walk away, the list goes on, and he said that he didn't want to live in a flat that was bought with stripper money. That really pissed me off, and I told him no effing way am I selling my flat, and that he never had an issue with my stripper money paying for this flat before now. I said I wasn't giving up the security of owning a home for someone who tries to make me feel ashamed about something I don't feel ashamed of. He said that his point is if I sold the flat then we could get a new place with the money from the sale. I said, wouldn't that still be stripper money? And he said, that's different, and I asked how. He then said he was going back to his place, because I can't talk to you when you're in this state. He's gone back to his flat now, and he's texted me saying I'm overreacting irrational, and I need to think of this realistically rather than emotionally. He says he wouldn't feel right raising a child in my flat knowing how I purchased it and selling moving is the best idea of all of us, not to mention the fact he isn't on the deed because it's my place and it would never feel like our place because of this. I feel I might be the hole because I get why he might feel like it's just my place and I feel I'm being too rigid in a time we need to work together, plus I spoke to my sister and she sided with him so 2 out of 3 people think I'm in the wrong here. Am I the a-hole? Update on the off chance anyone sees this, I dumped him. There was a whole conversation, and during the conversation he said he didn't want to be a parent if I wasn't willing to do everything he wanted, including sharing a house deed, plus staying together. Also, at the start of the conversation I said what a few people suggested, which was that I'd be willing to sell and split the house with him, provided he paid 50%, and he got very angry, very quickly. He also said a few other things, so I don't know how it's all going to pan out just yet, but it looks like I'm going to be a single mother with him. Now for the update, because a lot of people asked for one. First off, I dumped him. He initially said that he doesn't want to be a parent if we're not a couple, but earlier this week he told me he wants majority custody so not only does he not have to pay child support, but if he gets majority then I end up paying him. He actually said that was his reasoning. He also runs his own startup and admitted the startup is basically done for, and he was hoping that when I sold my place, I could also put a cash injection into his business with the money, so basically this was all about money for him, and I have extensive documentation of all of this. There's going to be a legal case, but I've gotten legal advice, and it looks like I'll be able to get sole custody, which is what I intend to go for. In the last couple weeks, my sister has doubled down and is trying to get me to fix things with my ex because a baby should have a complete family, so I've not been involving her in my pregnancy, which she is furious about. She also told our parents, which I am furious about, so we're not speaking right now. I also want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my first post. When I first posted, between my boyfriend and my sister, I was genuinely convinced I was in the wrong, so to have such an overwhelmingly supportive response really helped me realize that I shouldn't doubt myself so much, and with that realization, plus everything going on right now, I've decided to go to therapy, which I will be starting next week. All in all, the outcome of this is probably going to be me being a single mother in the flat I own. And honestly, pretty decent outcome. Am I the a-hole for kicking a friend out of my house for what she said? Disclaimer, I'm on mobile and this is a throwaway for privacy reasons. Earlier today I had 2 friends over to watch a game and catch up as social distancing rules eased up a bit in my area, we're all women in our early 30s. One friend, let's call her A, has had a very tough couple of years. She lost her husband last year, he was on deployment when he passed away, and tragedy struck again when her 6-year-old son passed away from cancer a few months ago. Needless to say, she was and still is devastated, and this was the first time she felt like hanging out since the loss of her son. My other friend, let's call her B, is very traditional and religious, while friend A and myself are not religious at all, but our differing views have never been an issue, and we've gotten along just fine with friend B since we met her 4 to 5 years ago. Friend B has brought up what she believes are the benefits of religion to us a few times in the past, but always dropped the subject when we weren't responsive to it. Neither friend A nor I ever held any ill feelings towards her about this as she wasn't too pushy with her beliefs. On to the situation that took place today. We were listening to friend A pour her heart out and doing our best to console her while being a shoulder to cry on. Friend A, through tears, said I don't know what I did wrong in my life to deserve to lose her husband and son. Instantly, friend B exclaimed, "Well, I can tell you that. You didn't allow God and the Bible into your life, so God punished you for it. Can you blame him?" Friend A just looked at her in awe. I lost it. I yelled at her that what she said was totally uncalled for and unbelievably hurtful. Then I got up, opened the front door, and told her to get the hell out of my house and never contact me again. She tried to backtrack and say that she wasn't trying to be hurtful, but I wasn't having any of it. I yelled again, "Just get out of my house right now. Don't make me throw you out like a piece of trash." She huffed and left. Friend A was bawling at this point, but said thank you. We continued talking, and she calmed down after a while. Looking back now, I realized that I possibly could have handled the situation better. Both friend A and I never thought friend B would say something like that. Maybe I overreacted, I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I didn't expect this to take off as much as it did, and I really appreciate all the comments, messages, and awards. I want to clarify why I think I may have overreacted. I always thought of myself as tolerant and a person who respects other people's views and beliefs, no matter how extreme. This situation made me react in a way that, in my mind, didn't make me a tolerant person, because I did throw someone out of my house for saying something that I thought was out of line, but it still was part of their belief system. This is the reason I wanted opinions from the fellow Redditors, as I obviously can't be unbiased here. Thank you all for your input. Update. It's been a few weeks since the situation happened, so I will start off by saying that ex-friend B did not apologize to friend A for what she said. Matter of fact, she hasn't reached out to either one of us since then. We also didn't reach out to her. Unfortunately, B's words from that day really got to friend A. She struggled with survivor's guilt and questioned her upbringing, lifestyle, views on religion, etc. She doubled her therapy sessions, and I spent my free time keeping her company. A couple of weeks ago, I went over to her place and found her reading a Bible and, almost obsessively, flagging pages. She said she was researching to check if what B told her was true. She started reading excerpts and telling me her interpretations. This behavior did scare me a bit, so I suggested she bring this up to her therapist. It was the only thing I could think of to help calm her down. She did talk to the therapist, who suggested she perhaps talk to a pastor instead of trying to come up with her own conclusions. She asked me to go with her, which I did, but told me to just wait for her at the church while she talked to the pastor privately. After, she said that she felt better and was more convinced that B was full of it. She also seemed calmer, so I believe that conversation did help her. I was at her house on Friday and she told me that she still thinks about what was said, and, although she feels much better after talking to the pastor, he's only one person, and what if he is wrong? I tried to reassure her again and talk through her feelings, but I could tell it was still eating at her. I had a feeling she might spiral again. Then I had an idea. I told her about the post I made on here and explained why, how it works, etc. She's not a Reddit user. I pulled up my original post and asked her to read the comments to show her how hundreds of people, religious and non-religious, felt about what was said. We spent the evening reading each comment. She cried, she laughed, she was surprised and overwhelmed at the amount of support and reassuring words from all these strangers. I could tell she was more and more relieved as we read. She has been in a much better state of mind since then, so seeing hundreds of people disagree with B's words definitely had a positive impact on her. So dear Redditors, thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping my friend with your kind words and reassurance. She has a long road ahead of her in this grieving process, but she's going strong.